Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the Mental Spot. Happy Wednesday. What's happening, everyone? Thank you all for joining. I see some people are on already. So when you are here, let me know you're here. Let me know you can hear me. Let me know that you can see me because we have an awesome show tonight and I don't want you guys to miss anything. Hey, Alina, how are you? Thanks for joining. It's Wednesday, the mental spot where men talk about life, love, and leaving the toilet seat up. We're going to have an awesome show. Did I say that already? Yay. So again, as you're joining, let me know that you're here. And I am just making sure that I am sharing this out to my network. So if you all would please share with your followers, let them know that we are about to go live. And just for the record, I do not have rights to the song that is currently playing right now, but it's just a little beat for me. Welcome, everyone. Hey, Nyron, how are you? You here and see me? Thank you. So we're excited. I'm going to give just another minute or so for people to join and catch in. And then we were going to get started. Yes. Welcome. See more people joining. I was going to sing, but I'm not going to do that for y'all today. All right. So let's go ahead and get started in the interest of time because we have a great discussion to talk about tonight. So I am going to again welcome everyone to the Mental Spot, the place where men talk about life, love, and leaving the toilet seat up. My name is Coach Shaquan, your host, and I am so excited to be here. For those that don't know me or are new to the show, I am a certified relationship coach and owner of PRT Coaching Services. We are a life and relationship expert firm focusing on self-awareness, strategy, and mindset tools to help men and women be the leaders in the life that they choose to live. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean, Coach? You're doing all this. What does it mean? Well, even in intimate relationships, we must remember that we are leaders. And if you don't see yourself as a leader, then you will do, and people will follow you, or you'll go places that you don't know where you're going. And so we have a great time here at PRT Coaching Services. We offer leadership training, energy leadership training, where I go into organizations and teach and train workshops on this concept of energy leadership. I also do certified relationship coaching. Those are for individuals and for couples. And we also have a portion where we work on speaking, transformational speaking. So I really love doing that part of the business as well. So again, thank you for those who are joining us. Hey, Comey, how are you? You just browsing the book and saw me live. So I'm glad that you are here. We should catch up. I haven't talked to you in a minute. So the Mental Spot tonight, I'm so excited. I have a special guest here, and our topic is when a man loves a woman, he has to love her kids. We're going to talk about 3 tips in that. My guest has some really good tips to share, and we're going to talk a little bit about life, talk a little bit about love, and of course, at the end, we'll talk about what it means to leave the toilet seat up. So I am going to go ahead and bring our guest on. He'll be joining us in a second. Hey, Marv B.
What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Welcome to the Mental Spot.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited. So tonight we are talking about when boy meets girl, girl meets boy, girl has kids. 3 tips on how to love a woman with children, and just talk about your experience and really drop some gems on us tonight. And I'm excited. Thank you for being here.
I'm too. I think this will really help some people. I know that a lot of people have found themselves in this type of situation and relationship, and I hope some of the words that I share with them will help them, do the right thing in their relationship, and hopefully they can take something positive from what I have to say.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So I always like to start off. So I can call you Marv B because we cool like that.
We cool like
So
very.
let me just share with people how did we meet? What's your story? I should have rehearsed this with you first.
Nah,
Tell
it's all good. No, it's all good. So, Marv B, born and raised in Topeka, Kansas, also known as Top City. Um, Graduated high school from Topeka, Kansas, and then I left the state of Kansas and went to the great University of Missouri, also known as Mizzou, and that
MIZ.
ZOU.
Yes.
That's where I met Coach Shaquan, both freshmen at a small fish in a big pond,
Yes.
and we both learned our ways. And then um, left Mizzou. I left Mizzou, graduated with a degree in Spanish. Went lived in Mexico for a short period. Kansas City, St. Louis, Houston, Texas is where I finally ended up, and in Houston is where I started my family.
Okay.
And from Houston, we decided, to relocate with work. Went to Omaha, Nebraska. Now, currently, we are in the Dallas, Texas area. So
Okay.
that's a little bit about me.
Oh, so you got some frequent flyer miles on you.
Yeah, we've been. You ever see that? You ever see that movie Richard Pryor, Moving by Richard Pryor? That's us.
Yeah.
That's us. We've been moving. Thankfully, it wasn't nothing that bad, but
Yeah.
we definitely have had our share of moves, no doubt.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I think that that's great simply because now being older, you realize the richness in getting the opportunity in being around different people, different cultures, different settings, and really giving that gift to your kids,
Right.
and being able to move around. So kudos for making those moves. Yes. So first, I want to talk about. I have you here. You are the founder of the Man Listen Show. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So the Man Listen Show is a podcast that I started with a group of friends of mine. Just a creative outlet where we talk about current issues affecting the African American community. Sometimes we get heavy with some of the topics we talk about. Other times, it's lighthearted. We really want to focus on African American culture. So we do some on-site visits to Black-owned businesses across the country, events that are held throughout the country. We really want to promote African American culture to our people with our show. So you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Man Listen Show. You'll be able to see what we have going on. Get insight into what we think about different topics. We want to inform and educate, but also entertain as well. So it's a new project that I'm starting. I'm very proud of it. It's still sort of in the infant stages, but I have some good people, some smart people on board, and I think that people will be pleasantly surprised when they tune into what we're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know you, and you are very passionate about Black history, just our culture, just our how we got here, the challenges that we have here. Like you are that dude that really makes sure, and so we're in our 40s, right?
Right.
And sometimes our generation, because we've been privileged in some sort of way, not to have to really our parents worked hard to get us to where we are right now. So I really love that you are focused on keeping Black history relevant. And, we're not just talking about our textbook Black history, right? Really
Right.
going deep in all of that. So major kudos to you. So you guys go follow the Man Listen Show again on Instagram and here on Facebook to make sure you keep up. He's got some really, really good topics on there. So I want to make sure that that you guys stay tuned because Marv B, you can say you saw him on the mental spot first.
That's right. Coach Quan, I appreciate you.
Yes, yes, yes. So let's get into our topic tonight, which again, we are talking about your experience in meeting a woman who, let's just say now she is your beautiful wife, but originally meeting a woman who had kids and just that transition from dating to becoming a father. These are your children. So first question I want to find out is before you met, what were your like qualifications or stipulations about meeting a woman that had kids?
It really wasn't anything that really came um, there wasn't. I never really had like a list of this woman has to have this or that, or I absolutely won't date her or won't consider being in a relationship with her. My main thing is I don't do drama,
Yeah.
and yeah, I try to live a peaceful life. I don't, want to add stress to my life. So as long as I was able to find someone who made me happy and loved me in the way that I wanted to be loved, I was fine.
Yeah.
And part of that part of that mindset that I had came from my father, Marvin Austin Banks Sr.
Hmm.
Um, he got with my mother, and she had three sons,
Okay.
three grown sons. I'm the youngest of my mother's sons, and the oldest brother of mine is 12 years older than me, and
Oh,
my
wow.
oldest brother is 18 years older than me. So
Okay.
when my father came into their life, he I never saw him treat them any differently than he treated me.
Hmm.
They were all his sons, even though they did not have his blood. So, to me, having some sort of criteria, or if a woman has children and then she's automatically disqualified because I don't want to deal with that. That wasn't my situation.
Yeah. Okay, so for the ladies, right? Because I know that there are some single women, and really, when you get to a certain age, it's kind of difficult to find a man that does not have any children. So me asking that question was that I know that there are some women that are like, okay, they won't date a man that has more than one child, or some are like no kids, and then they're like, okay, maybe one. Um, any any words of encouragement that maybe you could give, because in your situation, like you said, your dad married a woman that had children already, and that turned out to be a beautiful union, and look what came out of that. So any words of wisdom or encouragement for women who are just like, no, kids are a deal breaker?
Well, I mean, if that's their personal preference, I personally wouldn't try to persuade them to think differently, um, because at the end of the day, it's about the children.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are going to go into a relationship and you aren't able to deal with that person's children, that person is a part of them.
Yeah.
Those children didn't ask to be here, and that person has a responsibility to make sure that their growth and development is priority.
Yeah.
So if you're not able to reconcile, hey, I like this person, but they got kids, and I really don't want to deal with kids, then you probably shouldn't waste their time, and you probably shouldn't waste your time, because I'm a big proponent on don't do anything halfway. So
Yeah.
if you're going to get into that relationship and you're not really sure, or you're just like, well, listen, I like being with him and it feels good, but I'm not gonna be around these kids forever. I don't want to commit to these kids. Then you're not doing right by them. So I would
Yeah.
say that if it's not something that you want to do and you want to limit the opportunities you may have, go ahead and knock yourself out.
Yeah.
But don't lead anybody on, especially not the children.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So one of the things, thank you for that. That's a great tip, right? We call them pro tip. We'll talk
Mm-hmm.
about that a little bit later.
Pro tip. Pro tip. Right.
Pro tip. So okay, so you shared with me some tips that you wanted to let our listeners know, and so I want to get into some of those because I thought that they were really great. Before we do that, the other question that I wanted to ask was, uh, what expectations, if there were any, did your wife set when you all were seriously dating, to say, if you're going to step into this role, like, this is what it needs to be?
Well, I would say that, like any couple, when you talk about saying, I do and committing
Mhm.
to one another, you talk about family expectations
Yeah.
and what you see as the main tenets and the guiding principles for your family.
Hmm.
So we pretty much knew one another, and we knew how each other thought about different things. So it wasn't like a list of ultimatums were given. That wasn't really necessary,
Yeah.
because I like to call myself, I'm a man's man.
Yeah.
And when I
And
said
what
that,
does that
I want
mean? The people
uh,
at the mental spot, we want to know what that means.
so a man's man is someone that does things that other men respect. A
Okay.
man is about his word. A man takes care of his family. A man is a provider. He's a protector. Other men trust what he says, and he's reliable. So when someone says they are a man's man, that means that other men respect him. They'll say, you know what, that's a good man. That's a man's man. You know,
Okay.
there's some men out here who are they're not a man's man. Their word doesn't mean anything. They're not reliable, and you know that's just not what I do. So when approaching the situation that I'm in right now, my marriage, it wasn't a list of ultimatums. It was like, listen, this is about to be a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
and I got you. I
Yeah.
got you. There's nothing else for you to worry about.
I
And I tell people all the time, and I want to make this very clear. Um, you know, I have a very beautiful wife. I have four beautiful children, and you know, I call them my children. They're my children, and they have been much more of a blessing to me than I've ever been to them.
mm,
And this step that I decided to take um, 12 years ago. 12 years ago, coming up in November, will be 12 years. I'm about to get myself in trouble. We've
yeah.
been together 13, but it was the 12 years ago we got married. This was the best decision that I ever made. So,
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that. All right, so we're getting ready to get into this. Let me just remind those who are just joining us, we are in the mental spot, the place where men talk about life, love, and leaving the toilet seat up. I am Coach Shaquan, certified relationship coach and host of this show. And my guest today is Marv B. We are talking about tips on how to love a woman with children. So please, if this is something that's relatable to you, please share with your followers. We want to get the message out. Let's just be clear and not tiptoe around the truth of it that some men are challenged with dating a woman and taking it to the next level when she has children. And so the beautiful thing about this that Mark V just shared, he has four beautiful children. It's going on 12 years. He's been successful in being their father. We're going to go into these three tips right now. Three tips on loving a woman with children. So we talked about these, Mars. Tip number one, would you say if you love the woman, you have to love the child? Tell us more.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that came directly from my father. Like I said, Marvin Sr. Um, if you're going to love the woman, love the child. And that goes back to the first question that you asked me. What what about people who said, you know what, I just don't want to, I want to date or get into a
Mhm.
relationship with someone with children. If you're not able to love that child, then you really don't need to be with that person. And I would suggest to any woman that if you have a potential suitor, a potential partner, and he doesn't love your child as if that child was his, I
Yeah.
think that you should strongly reconsider being long term with that person. I go back to, again, the example that my father set for me. Um, Whenever I saw him talk about my brothers, he never said these are my stepsons. He said
Oh, yes.
he said these are my sons. You notice I say my brothers. They're from my mother's first marriage.
Yeah.
We don't say half brothers, and I never heard them call him stepdad. He was
Mm-hmm.
always pops because they knew who their father was. Their father was involved in his life, but my father, you know, stepped in and did the role that he was supposed to do. And in order, so they wanted to show him reverence. So instead of calling him dad, they called him pops.
Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. So we have a comment here. I am going to
Uh,
read real quick. So Pamela Brother says, I married a man that had two children, and the best advice I could give would be to know what type of family he is looking to have. What does parenting look like to him? I believe in all children having a relationship with their father. I knew how to stay in my lane, and we grew to love. I love that. I love that. I
right.
love that. So that then takes us back to the to the whole title of a stepfather, or step parent, a stepmother, stepfather. Do you think the word step plays or impacts the nature of the relationship between the parent and the child?
I mean, I can't say. I mean, I've heard other people say, I have a great relationship with my stepmother, or I have a great relationship with my stepfather. Um, to me, whenever I hear that, I cringe because I knew that I was going to love these children as if they were mine, regardless, whether
Mm-hmm.
they whether they wanted me to love them in that way or not.
Yeah.
Um, a good friend of mine, he passed away. Excuse me, Arnie Monroe. We call him Spanky.
Oh yeah.
I model a lot of the things that I do by the example that he set with his children,
Mm-hmm.
and he really set the tone when I watched how unconditional his love was for his children. How he would do anything, go through any lengths, and he would tell anyone, "Hey, listen, you know, those are mine."
Yeah.
So when you see my children, they know they are mine. They may not have my blood in their veins, but they are mine, and I always wanted them to know that. So the title of stepchildren or stepfather never really entered my mind, but I knew
Mm-hmm.
that I was going to love them regardless. And then whatever their heart led them to call me or reference me, we would just go with that. It
Yeah.
just so happened with mine, they call me dad,
Yeah.
and we just rock like that. So that's what we do.
I love it. I love it. We have a comment here by Miss Alina Thomas. She said, "Thank you. Take the step and have out your mouth." Yes, children are
Right.
not stepped and they are whole people. And I'm not certain where that term came from. I know that it's equivalent to when I hear people say, like, married people, and they're like, my husband's mama, or
Yeah.
like, my husband's sister. And so even if we're putting the in-laws behind that, or we've adopted the term in love, using
Mhm.
that word step, or making it seems as if they are not a part of the whole family, I would imagine could play a role in, again, how comfortable they feel with acknowledging who you are as in the role of the parent.
I mean, and I get it. I mean, I think there's a place to use that terminology, legally, sometimes documents you have to use that term. But it's always cringeworthy when someone would
Yeah.
say that because, it wasn't the example that I saw growing up, and it definitely wasn't the example that I wanted to set for people who looked at our family with how I treated my children.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to say, technically, stepchildren, but that's never, ever been uttered by me towards them or them towards me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We have another comment here from Monty. Hey, Monty, Pastor Monty. Just a shout out. He does Relationship Mondays on Facebook Live, and they are like hot in the bomb. So y'all make sure y'all follow him and get tuned in on the Relationship Mondays. Okay.
Okay.
Steve says, so sometimes the child wants to honor the biological parent, and the biological parent is present and wants to be honored. So how about bonus mom and bonus dad? I think that that's a great point. If the parent of the child is active and in their lives, I absolutely think that bonus is a great way to acknowledge them and to give them that place. It's just something about the word step that just like you said, it just cringes, and it can really cause potentially some challenges with how the role and the respect, I think, in kind of those ways. So let's move into tip number 2,
Right.
which is set clear boundaries. Tell us more.
So when you set clear boundaries, I think that, like the listener said before, um, you definitely need to discuss how that person that you're going to be in the relationship
Mm-hmm.
wants you to be a part of that family.
Yeah.
And you definitely need to establish your boundaries as well. Um, I've seen relationships where one partner ended up resenting the other partner because they did not appreciate how that person parented their children, or how they handled their children. A lot of times it's with the grown children, setting boundaries, establishing rules for the house. And you don't want to go into a situation, especially as a man,
Mm-hmm.
where you are stepping into the role of helping to raise someone else's child, and your role as a protector and a provider is somewhat diminished, because you know what, I'm in charge of taking care of this person, this child,
Mm-hmm.
this little one that I've decided to let me be a part of their life, but I only have so much say so.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
make sure
Because
you
the
establish.
first what you don't want to hear is you ain't my daddy.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, and that's a big fear of a lot of men. They don't want to come in that situation, and because that's hurtful. And kids, they say mean things at times. Thankfully, I've never heard that. But the advice that I've always been given is, well, right now I'm the father that's in your life right now.
Yeah,
And you're gonna respect the rules of my house. And honestly, having a conversation, if that other parent is in their life,
yeah.
there's nothing better than two men being able to talk and set
Mm-hmm.
the example for the community that, hey, listen, we can come together, and how are we going to raise these children? How are we going to work together and make sure that we're all giving this child the love that they need
Yeah.
to grow and be a great person?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that you bring up another good point too about boundaries and having the boundaries between the parent and the child. Also having boundaries instead of, okay. So if we're husband and wife, right,
Mhm.
and I am the parent, I'm the father that's in this role, making sure that the child understands that there's a boundary that he or she may not cross, that may as husband and wife, we won't play this game against each other. Like mom won't take up for son. So I know that I've worked with couples before. Let me just say this, that I've worked with couples before, and some of the challenge has been it was us before he came along. And so then the wife ends up playing this role of trying to please both the child and the father, the bonus dad, the or whatever term they pay, and it just becomes a thing. The child then feels as if the mom, right, is taking sides and they don't love them. And so when you set those boundaries, you also give the child the opportunity to say, hey, as husband and wife, we are a team. We're not against you, we are completely for you. um,
Mhm.
One of the things, I'm just going to put this up here, that I say boundaries, three things. Boundaries takes responsibility. So when you draw the line, everything inside this line, this is a responsibility, there's an ownership, and there's a piece of freedom. So we can say what happens within these boundaries. And I think that having that conversation up front is very, very valuable. Hey, I am the person that is responsible for you, right? There's an ownership that I have over your life while you're underneath my roof, and you have the freedom to speak and to express yourself. You won't disrespect me by calling out those you're not my dad, and all of those other things that just you know
And hopefully there is um, there's a relationship, there's a rapport that's established between you and that child,
mhm,
and probably more importantly, with that child's other parent, and to be able to say, hey, listen, we're all in this together, and we want the best for this child. So when I
yeah,
say establish boundaries, making sure that you and your partner are together primarily, right?
mhm,
So that you are sound in how you approach um, raising this child, and then also how you approach the other parent as well, so that
yeah,
all parties are on one accord, and making sure that that child has the love that they need and the attention that they need to
yeah.
grow up into a great individual.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so let's talk about tip number three. Be flexible. Be flexible. Tell us
Definitely.
more.
So when you're dating someone, and they have a child, you have to really understand that they have responsibilities,
Mm-hmm.
and that responsibility is to that child. And when you're young and you're single, and whoever you're interested in is single as well, y'all have time to be lovey-dovey and to, spend all the time and do all the fun things that you want to do. And you have to realize that if that person has responsibilities of raising a child, you have to kind of get in where you fit in.
Yes.
I was lucky to have, a beautiful woman that who was handling her business and had everything going on. So in terms when it came for me to come into the picture, I was just the icing on the cake. And we
Mhm.
just turned into a well-oiled machine when it comes to being a family and raising the children. But I know a lot of guys say, listen, I can't have time with her when I want her. But no, you can't, because her priority, or his priority if it's a woman, is to make sure that that child is provided for, and that they get everything that they need. So if you're
Yeah.
not able to be flexible and to really get in where you fit in, then it might not be the right situation for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I have a comment here. Nyron says the husband is the wife's top priority. The wife is the husband's top priority, and the child is our together, right? As a unit, top priority. And I think that that is a huge statement, a really big statement, simply because, again, we ideally want to create, especially in our community, right? We want to break this cycle of single family homes as much as we can. So if there is a man who is willing to come in and to take that role, then seeing the child as our priority is a big thing, really being inclusive. So we talk about being flexible. Is there any way that or how do you have to really drive in um, that point of we are a family unit, right? Blood does not make us any, not having the same blood doesn't make us any different, like you shared with how your father stepped in with you and your brothers.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that what the listener said is right on point. If husband and wife aren't together, if they're not able to set the example to the children on how people are supposed to communicate and govern themselves in relationships, then the whole family suffers, because the
Mhm.
anchor is the husband and the wife.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with them. And I think that once you establish that, yes, we come first, but we come together like Voltron and we handle getting these kids where they need to be. There's nothing greater than that.
Yeah.
In my situation, my wife and I, we work as a brilliant team when it comes to the children. I mean, we have three daughters, one son. The oldest is 20, about to be 21, 19-year-old, 17-year-old, and my son is 15, and they all have something going on.
Yeah.
So we're able to coordinate and to make sure that each child gets the attention and the love that they need, because every child is different.
Yes.
There is no cookie cutter way to raise children. And, you really have to talk and plan and pray and strategize on how you're going to get things done. And, that's just how we've made things work for our family.
Yeah, and I think that that is so awesome. I'm just going to tell you again, for those that may just be joining in, and for everyone who has shared, and thank you so much. This is the Mental Spot, where we talk about men talk about life, love, and leaving the toilet seat up. And our guest today is Marv V. He is founder of The Man Listen Show, and he's sharing with us today his experience and some tips on loving a woman with children. Again, he talked earlier about he didn't have any criteria, or there was no rule about a woman having children. So when he met his now wife, he fell in love with her, and he also understood that falling in love with her meant falling in love with his children. And so going through these three tips that he had here. Tip number one was, if you love the woman, you have to love the child. There is no separation in that. There is no I'm with your mama and your mama raised you. It's just not healthy. The second tip was set clear boundaries, really understanding the roles that everyone plays and the level of respect that is required, right? Expected and demanded. And then this last one was about being flexible, making sure that you respond as a unit, and having that opportunity to let the children involved know that that they're part of this unit. They're part of, they're all loved, they're all respected. And I just love these tips. This topic was so, it just warmed my heart, because there's also a piece that we'll just mention briefly, is that you actually went through an adoption process for your son.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, we about 4 years ago, my son and I, he decided to go ahead and make things legal. So, um, he's 100% mine. But that really was just
Yeah.
that wasn't really a big thing because, like I said, the relationship was already there, and
Mm-hmm.
legal documents and a judge saying something was just, like I said, icing on the cake. All of my children know who their father is. They know who's going to come running for them whenever they need me. So that was just something that was an added benefit to our family.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that that is a big deal, like really, really a big deal, because there are not a lot of men who would, number one, step into that role. Number two, take it, what I consider an extra step. And again, this is assuming what the relationship between that particular child and their biological parent is. The fact that you stepped in and have created that relationship, especially with a young black man, and being able to guide him and really take on that role. I think it's dope, like real
Yeah.
talk.
Well, like I said, people always say kind words to me about, our family and our situation. They mean well, and I always say thank you. But I really can't overemphasize that I've been blessed. I've
Yeah.
been blessed tremendously by having my wife and my children in my life.
Yeah.
So, and while it's all good and I appreciate the love, I'm just doing what I do. I'm just being a man's man. That's all it is.
Ooh, we talked about that too. Y'all gonna have to go back and watch the replay on that if you missed it. What it means to be a man's man. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So, Marv, I also want to share. Thank you for those three tips. There's some deeper conversation that we can take in that. I love that we're keeping it here, just letting people know. Again, the experience and what you went through as far as making that choice to step in. So, major kudos to you. Like. Major kudos. And if I can say anything to any man that's watching that has stepped into that role, or how about this, you say, how do you deal with any challenges that may come up, or are there any challenges that come up that you could give any of our other men that are listening, or even the women who are, let's just call it a blended family, right?
Mhm.
Any
Well,
challenges or any advice or anything you can give them?
I would say that open communication, making
Mm,
sure that the dialogue is there. Um, my situation is a lot different than other people when you talk about a blended family because we operate just as a regular family. Like
yeah.
I said, no, none of the step this or any other things. None of that really comes into play for our family unit. So we just operating like any other family. But I do talk to other people who are in a for real blended situation where both
Mhm.
people have children that they're bringing in and they're trying to make that a complete family unit. And I would say that make sure that you have open dialogue and that you're able to communicate effectively what your misgivings may be at the time based off that blended family. If you have a problem with how he or she is handling that child that they have brought into the relationship and how that child's actions are impacting your family, and I say your
Mhm.
family, I mean everyone,
Yeah.
you definitely need to be able to communicate effectively.
Mhm.
And if you're that person who's in that relationship, make sure that you're able to receive that feedback from that other person because you don't want it to get to a situation where you start to resent that other person because they won't listen to you when they're talking about how we're handling
Mhm.
children is negatively impacting the family.
Yes, yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes, that's what the mental spot is all about. Sharing these experiences and giving these tips and tools. So I certainly appreciate that. Before we go, I
Oh,
absolutely positively must mention another role that you play.
right. So I am, well, I guess we call it the co-founder of a new initiative we're calling "Conversate with Us." And I know for all you grammar police, conversate, say conversate. What is conversate? But conversate or communicate, converse, and relate. And it is something that I helped launch with my business partner, Val. You can find us on Conversate with Us. And we really are focusing on getting black women and black men not only just to be able to talk to one another, but to be able to hear one another, because too often both sides are saying what's on their mind, but they're not hearing the other side, and we're not able to really progress and improve the dynamic between black men and women. So you can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Facebook at Conversate with Us. Go ahead and like our page. We have some outstanding contributors. We have Coach Shaquan, who helps with relationship building. We have a wellness team that is awesome. They give fitness tips. We have a world-renowned doctor, Dr. Jeffrey Sterling, who gives medical advice to our followers. We have a registered dietitian. We have other individuals that talk about different scholarship initiatives for people who have children, promoting Black love. We have Roy who promotes Black love. I'm having a brain fart. I apologize. I don't remember everybody's name, but that's just how deep it goes. We have a lot of contributors that help you um, communicate, converse, and relate with the opposite sex in a more effective way. So make sure you follow us on Facebook and on Instagram.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. So I am definitely a fan of Conversate. And again, as he mentioned, you're like, what? Did y'all know that they're about to make Conversate an official word in the dictionary? Did you know that?
Conversate actually is a real word in the dictionary, but like I said, communicate, converse, and relate.
Let them know what it means. Yes. So make sure you guys again follow them. I have it up here. It's at Conversate with Us on Instagram and Facebook. Definitely for the 40 and over crowd, wouldn't you?
Right,
Yes,
right,
for the
absolutely.
40 and over crowd. And definitely, yes, follow and you'll find out. So I see actually someone from Conversate on here. I'm just gonna put her up, Miss Salit oh Banana. I just may have just
Oh,
Miss Adams. Please don't fault me. I love you from the bottom of my heart. I really do. All right, you all. So again, thank you so much. We have talked about life. We've talked about love. And so now it's time to bring out the last portion of our show, which is leaving the toilet seat up. So let me just explain to people because they're like,
now,
okay, well, what does that mean? Right. Thank you, Miss Adams. I
now you
appreciate
know
it.
that's something that gets me in trouble often, right? Leaving the toilet seat up.
Because you know that's my question. If I come to your house right now, is the toilet seat up or down?
It's always down. I don't want those problems.
Yes, yes, yes. So really, when I came up with that, it was really a metaphor for men having the space to be vulnerable, to express themselves, to be a man's man, if you will. And so this is the part of the show where I just give a couple of like fire questions, right? Just a
Okay.
couple. Just a couple. So one of my
Okay.
standard questions I ask is, when is the last time you cried?
Oh. Uh, last time that I remember crying, I was thinking about my friend who I mentioned earlier, Arnell, thinking about him and missing him and being able to call him and be vulnerable and get that manly advice and missing not being able to talk to him. So
Yeah.
definitely rest in peace, Spanky. I think about you always. And that was the last time I actually cried.
Yes, yes, yes. We all have, or for those of us that went to Mizzou, we have special memories of Spanky. So absolutely, was a great man, great man. So my next question is, what is your favorite thing about being a father?
My favorite thing about being a father is thinking about them all the time, thinking about their development, thinking about their future, this all the joy that they bring to me, all the successes, all the failures, um, helping them grow, helping them to be outstanding people, visioning how they're going to be taking over the mantle of this family. You know, my son taking over the mantle as the man of this family, and wanting to support them at all times. They've really given me a reason to wake up in the morning and a reason to keep going and to keep pushing and setting a good example. So that's my favorite thing about being a father is this making sure that they're loved and that they know that they're loved by me at all times.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Now, let me ask, do you eat bacon or turkey bacon?
Ah, no pork on the fork,
No
turkey
pork.
bacon.
You say, gotta let them know, right?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Yes. And if you could travel any place you wanted, where would you go?
Ghana, Accra. I think that's how you say it, Accra, Ghana. Definitely, I've seen videos and photos of people there, and definitely Ghana, and after that, it would probably be Egypt. Go see the Great Sphinx.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And last but not least, one word to describe your wife.
Fearless.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love
I
it.
mean, there's so many words that I could attribute to her, but I tell people all the time, she's fearless.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a type of person that if I want to do something, I got to think about the pros and the cons and really weigh out, you know, should I do it or should I not do it? And she is someone who once she sets her mind to something, she goes out and she does it. And I've always admired that in her because she may have started one endeavor and she's really rocking it out and being successful. And then she'll say, well, I think I want to do this. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, well, why you want to do that? You already
Yeah,
got this going on right here. And then a year or so later, when she's accomplished that new thing, I was like, you know what? I shouldn't have doubted you. I
that's what I'm
should have saw.
saying.
I should have saw your vision. So she is absolutely fearless.
I love it. I love it. I love it. A couple more comments from some of our viewers. Miss Pamela Brother says this has been awesome.
Oh,
We have Mr. Andre Alexander, who was on episode 1. Pastor Dre, he says this has been awesome. Not everyone can be in this role. I absolutely agree. I commend you as a woman, as a black woman, understanding the challenges and the struggles that come with finding a man that truly loves us. And so I don't have that experience because I did not have any children. The fact that I am a woman and I understand that need to be loved, and the imagine of how you could step in and not only give that love to me, pour it over and make our family just one. It just speaks volumes of who you are, who you serve, what you do, and why. Like, I love that, the brand of who you are. So again, everyone, this is Marv B. He is the founder of the Man Listen Show. So I want you guys to make sure you go like and follow at the Man Listen Show. Also, you know me, this is Coach Shaquan. Again, we are inside the mental spot. You can find me all over social media by following the hashtag check your BS. Where BS stands for belief system or whatever has you stuck. Yes, Marv, you know, we get the little belief system.
Absolutely.
or whatever has you
Absolutely.
stuck in a way of thinking or a pattern of doing that's not allowing you to be your best, to be a leader in the life that you choose to live. Any of you men out there that are stuck in your BS about what your role and responsibility is as a father, whether you have birthed this child or not, if you are with a woman, you are with the child. Check your BS, right? And you can
Absolutely.
find out
Check
more joining the movement at checkyourbs.com. So we have had an awesome show here. Again, thank you so much, Marv B, for joining us. Y'all give him some shout out. Yes. All right, Marv, I'm going to take you off of here for now. Thank you again for joining us.
See y'all later. Bye-bye.
All right. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. This has been The Mental Spot, where men talk about life, love, and leaving the toilet seat up. I am your host, Coach Shaquan. If you know someone that would be an awesome guest for The Mental Spot, please have them to email me, coach@coachshaquan.com. I'll put that up here again. That is coach@coachshaquan.com. I love the technology where I can just put that up, boom, just like that. Again, thank you. Hey, Damaris, you see that? Snap. Yes, this has been awesome. I really love the fact that we have this platform. We have men who are willing to come out and have these types of conversations. Again, this is a way for you all to have a inside look at the minds of men, what they think about life, love, and leaving the toilet seat up. Pastor Dre, better put that toilet seat down. No, seriously, I love you guys so much for being here. Please, again, share if you find that this was valuable for someone else. And stay tuned. Next week, I have another amazing guest with another amazing, awesome topic. Y'all take care. See you soon. Peace.